ready here. It's another 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. We'll get started. Last week was Insanity, for those that were here. Just went on a Friday fun day live set. We'll bring it back a little bit to the instruction part of the stream. Just a couple more minutes now. Ready to go here. Just another minute or so. All right. Hey everybody, we're back Back again. It's Friday. My name is Abe Duque. I'm an instructor at 343 Labs, and this is 343 TV. We're here every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes on Tuesday, every other Tuesday. Welcome back to the show. So happy to be back, as always. As I say, I tell you this all the time. This is my highlight of my week. Last week, we did a bit of insanity. It was pretty crazy. Thanks for hanging in there and watching that and bearing with me. What I did is I set up all my gear and I just played live and got on the vocoder and called out everybody's name. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, today we're going to move away. We're going to do a little bit of instruction. We're going to go back maybe into a little bit of Ableton. Just want to acknowledge those in the chat right now. Simple Sam, as always, is here. And Audible Video, you're here as well. And I see you asking, Simple Sam, do you ever miss any of these? Simple Sam, do you? Simple Sam says, some when I can't watch due to social reasons. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Who else is in the chat? Alexander Bratz was there. So let's get right to it. Michael Black is back. Last week was crazy. Yes, it was crazy. I was just having a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do it again if you guys ask me to. I can always organize that. I always have my kind of live gear in front of me, and I'm often just fooling around with it when I'm sitting in the studio, when I'm not streaming. And sometimes I'll even stream like impromptu, just go on and usually do that on my Facebook page. If you go on my Facebook page, you could see a few streams that I've done throughout the last month or so where I just kind of suddenly go on. I don't really even announce them. Just, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm Brooks is here. Hello. Hello to you. Let's see. Who else? Anyway, everybody's kind of streaming in right now, which is really nice. And it's always great to visit with you all. As we do every Friday here on my Production Basics show. Oh, Katie Cat TG. Hola peeps, says Katie Cat. Welcome back. Okay, so we are 343 TV. We stream, as I told you earlier, every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Tuesdays at 1 p.m. We come from school, 343 Labs. Come and visit our website, 343labs.com. Check out our class schedules and see what we've got going on. So today, I just want to jump in to what we're doing. I'm going to go right to my Ableton screen today. Today, I want to talk a little bit about, and I think the title of today's stream, hey, Martin Crockett is here. Good to see you, Martin. So I was wondering, if Martin isn't here, that's a problem. But there he is. Martin Crockett is here. Okay, everything is good now. So as I was saying, today's stream is, I'm going to title it, Ableton's Roads Less Traveled. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've been teaching Ableton for about, I think I started in 2011, so a little bit over 10 years now teaching Ableton. And in all the years of teaching Ableton, you see all the devices and parameters and all the functions that Ableton has. But there are some that people skip and people don't talk about. They almost pretend, it's almost as if they don't exist. Nobody ever speaks of them. And I want to maybe get into maybe trying some of these unspoken or ignored or forgotten effects and instruments even that Ableton has, and maybe we'll see what the deal is. Maybe we'll figure out why they're not too often spoken about, and maybe we could find a reason to maybe speak about them. So I wanted to start with a device that's found here in the instruments, in the core instruments of Ableton, which is the Impulse. A lot of people, I'll say, hey, have you ever played with the Impulse? And people will say, well, what is that Impulse? I don't know what it is. And well, what it is, it's a drum machine. It's a drum machine or a drum setup, kind of everybody when they make drums in Ableton, they usually just go straight for the drum rack, and they always omit this little guy here, this Impulse. And what it is, it's an 8-cell drum machine that we can get going. So unspoken word effects. Yes, Simple Sam. Unspoken word effects. Um, so let's kind of put this into action and see what it has to offer, and maybe why we should use it, or maybe we shouldn't use it. So let's grab some drums and start populating this thing. So again, it has 8 cells. I'm going to go into my drum hits and grab some appropriate sounds for this. So let's see what we have here. We'll need a kick to start out with. So let's find a kick. Thought you were going to do that guitar thing that nobody uses. There is a guitar thing that Ableton has that I guess it's tension you're referring to. The tension is on my list, so I have a whole list here, believe it or not, of devices that that we don't talk about in Ableton, and tension is definitely on that list. We'll maybe we'll get to that. Let's see if it keeps going beyond this one show. Let's see how far we get, because I do have maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 devices on my list here of things that that people seldom use in Ableton. But anyway, let's get to populating this this drum computer here. So just gonna find a regular kick. That's good. That'll do me nice for now. And as you'll see to the side, there's a mute, and to the side there's a solo, and that's going to play or be better to use when I have more sounds in there. So let's just get some sounds all together in there. So if I have a kick, I'll need a snare, right? That makes sense. So let me grab a snare, just randomly trying to find an appropriate snare. Okay, that snare has more than just snares in them. You try to get lucky with this randomization. I'll take that for now. So that's a snare. So my kick and my snare. Now, if I have a snare, then I'll need maybe a clap. So I'll grab the first one I have. That's okay. So kick, snare, clap. I want to fill this all up. So let's see. If I have a clap, what else would I need? Let's grab some maybe percussion, or maybe some what's this rim stuff? Maybe a rim, maybe a nice rim shot. There's a 808 style rim there. Which kick samples in Ableton besides the 909 are good for techno? Asks Alessandro Brass. There's a, they do include a lot. I don't have them memorized in my head, but there are a lot of kicks in here that Ableton gives you, and depending on what type of techno you make, you could find kicks that'll service all your needs. And then the idea is that you can also kind of, use effects like distortion and other modeling, like the amp and maybe saturation, to like beef up the kick to make it exactly what you need. So you could even start with a kick that's not meant for techno and go that direction. So there's plenty there. That's one thing that Ableton doesn't scrimp on when they kind of give you the install, is the drum sounds. The drum sounds are pretty nice, I would say. I have problems with other things in Ableton, and I'm not ashamed to say it, or I'm not shy to say it. I really wish Ableton had better presets, for example, but that's another story. And because of that, I've learned not to use presets at all in Ableton, because I'm very underwhelmed with the presets many times. Okay, so I have this little rim. Let's find another type of sound to put in there. Let's see, maybe some sort of conga. Yeah, but let's go away from 808. Let's just go kind of real sounding congas here. And maybe that. So the last, let's see, I didn't drop it in here. I thought I would drop it in here. Won't let me. It's probably because it's in a rack. So that'll do. That'll be this, and that'll be that. I'm kind of going random here. I love randomizing things. And 7 and 8 usually are reserved here for hi-hats. So I'm going to go find me an open and close hi-hat. And there's a specific reason why they are. And I'll let you know in a minute why. But let me just find a closed. and an open. That'll be the open right here. So 7 and 8 have this setup where they choke each other out. So what does that mean? This comes from old drum machines. They would have something called like exclusives, which later became known as chokes. You also see them in the drum rack. What it is that if two sounds are set up in a choke scenario, only one can play at once. So if you have a closed and then an open playing, or vice versa, both of them can't play at the same time. So if there's a long open hi-hat playing and then you suddenly play that closed, that long open hi-hat's going to become shorter. And it's going to mimic what happens with a real drummer. When the real drummer is playing, the drummer's playing the cymbals, the hi-hat cymbal setup, it's two cymbals, right? They open and they close, and then you tap it either closed or open, and they give you that open close sound. But they either are open or closed. And you cannot have open and closed playing at the same time. And that because of that, the choke setup allows for that to go on. I'll demo that in a minute. So I have a bunch of drums in there. And let's write a pattern. So double clicking on an empty slot will give me an empty pattern. And I'm gonna just start to write some notes in here. So here are my sounds on this list here, and both in the drum rack and in the impulse. When you double click on an empty clip, you don't get all the notes in a regular MIDI clip. They know that it's a drum setup. So in the drum rack, it only shows you the notes that you have, like the cells, which correspond to notes, which have sounds in them. And in the impulse, it only gives you the 8 cells that you possibly can have. So now I'm going to turn this little icon blue. That means that I can play and it's a little loud, so I'm going to lower that a little bit. I don't want that to be in the red too much. So I'm going to write a little drum pattern here. I'm going to try to stick away from 4 on the floor. Let's see what that sounds like. Again, I'm kind of randomizing. That's kind of cool. And I'm going to get my snare in here. Okay. And let's add the clap. Now, I'm going to try to do... there's a discipline in drum programming referred to as linear drum programming, where you have only, like, in any particular step, there only can be one sound, and that's linear drum programming. I'm going to try to stick to that, and it's a good idea to do that, to not kind of stack your drum sounds on top of each other, because you'll get a lot more clarity in your drums if you do that. So I'm going to add a clap. Not on top of the snare, but let's say I'll add the clap right there. And maybe I'll add another one over here. And then I'll take a rim shot and find a spot where there's nothing in there. And then I'll drop them in there. And then the conga maybe here. And this other conga there. And I'll do that with these guys. These are all kind of linear drum programming setup. There's no part or no sound that's right on top of each other. Okay, so that's cool. But I'm not going to do that with the hi-hats. The hi-hats, I'm going to keep them going here this way. So I'm going to go ahead and write some notes there all the way across and show you what happens now. So these are set up to choke each other. So the way it goes is if one is playing, then the other one can't play over it. So I'm just going to see if that sounds a little different there. See, it's a little longer, that open hi-hat in there, because it's not a subsequent closed hi-hat. Let's look in the channel here. All right, so So now we have some parts in there so that we can kind of begin to play with and make a beat with, and then tweak out this thing. So far you get it, and at this point most people will start using this thing and then realize that there's one kind of drawback that actually is the deal breaker for using the impulse, which is that it doesn't have that beautiful mixer setup that a drum rack has. And let's grab a drum rack just to kind of have a look at the difference. I'll take a drum rack that's already been kind of set up for us. So let's take this 505 drum rack and drop it in there. Okay, and so as you see in this drum rack, you always get this little arrow. So if I made a little beat with this, so let's make a quick little beat with this one. And you see in this one, you have more than 8 sounds. So I bet you it's about 16 sounds, but only the sounds, once again, that appear inside of the clip. I mean, inside of the drum rack, show up here. They don't give you empty kind of notes to kind of tweak or play with. So I'm just gonna quickly write some parts here and just go with this thing, and then maybe that. See what that sounds like. Okay, so I got this pattern going now in the drum rack. And then the wonderful thing is that, boom, I could open that. And now opening that gives me all the parts kind of in a little sub-mixer in there. Which now I can come in here and, mix kind of with faders, knobs. I could mute them. I could solo parts if I wanted to. I could pan them in directions. I could do really a lot of really fun things with this, and at this point, when people have tried to use the simpler, realize that, well, yeah, I can have only 8 sounds, whereas the drum rack has 16, or you could have 128 sounds in a drum rack, right? And then you have a setup where you can open up all the chains and see them in a kind of a little sub mixer setup there, which is ideal. And even more than that, if you have a part like that you like in a drum rack, so let's say, okay, I got this going now, and I'll start laying this down on my arrangement, right? So I'll take this part, this clip, and I'll drop it into my arrangement, and where is it? It should be there, and then I'll drag it out. So I have all that in my arrangement, but okay, this becomes problematic in order to program, because if I want just the kick to be out or just another part to be doing something else, I'll have to kind of maybe split off a part of the clip. So I'll kind of split that off, make it a new clip, and that new clip, which I can change the color of, I can then program differently, right? So that seems like, the way to do it, but then you realize, as you learn Ableton, that you don't have to do it that way, that you could actually go into, let's go back to the, hold on, I'm getting that little pinball of death. I don't know why that came up. Back in here, and say you want the kick drum. So where's that kick drum? I think that's a snare, that's the rim, but let's say it's a snare, and pretend it's a kick, because I'm not going to go wasting time trying to find where that kick is. Let's say I want to get that snare into its own sort of chain. I can right click on it and extract the chain, and then look over here and look what I have. I have a new clip with the snare extracted right on that clip. All the MIDI and the sound went to this new channel with this new drum rack with that snare just sitting there all by itself. It no more is found inside of this one here. So that's when people realize, man, I'm just going to keep working with this drum rack, because there's nothing that or they think that there's nothing that the impulse could provide that's going to be that cool because, looking at the impulse, going back to this impulse, you have, yeah, you can make a nice beat in here, and there's some cool parameters which we'll go through, but at face value, it looks like, it's not as sexy as the drum rack can use. But there is something that really is kind of a saving grace for it. I'll get to it in a little bit. Let's just explore all the parameters that we can actually tweak out in here. But in the meantime, let's have a look in the chat. I see everybody doing their thing. Movement sequential is here. Good to see you. See, everybody's just chatting away with each other. Okay, so I'm just gonna. If you guys have a question, by the way, it's always awesome if you guys just go in there and drop your questions. I'm always happy to answer anything you guys want to drop into the chat. Okay, so now I'm back to this impulse, and as I said, we have mutes and we have solos. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. We're not working with that one right now. We just had the kick. And let's look at the parameters. We can determine the start position, so we can omit the beginning. Okay, so the start position changes and the transient gets kind of ignored. So that could be if you have a cool sample and you just dropped it in there and the sample isn't catching from where you want it to be, you can use that. We can transpose it real quick, and stretch. So it just introduces kind of the warping sort of feature into it. So as you transpose normally, if you speed it up, it usually shortens it. Meaning if you pitch it up, as I push the transpose here, you see that the pitch went up, but the sound got very short. So I could stretch that to make it longer in length. And there's two modes for that. They're basically two warp modes that you can apply for that. But that's really cool because now I could take a very long bassy one or low pitched one and shorten it. And now look at that. I made it nice and rumbly. So the sound design possibilities are interesting right off the bat. So you could do some quite cool, quick sound design situations that can get organized with this. So not bad. Not bad. We have some saturation. And by the way, when you click on the cell, what all these parameters are related to that cell. So if we go to the next one, all the parameters are related to the cell in the next one. So we're looking at the one that has the kick in there. So we have a little bit of saturation, which is basically some overdrive. So we can work into stretch and the transpose and the overdrive and get some interesting sound out of it. Get that filter going. You have a few choices here in the filters. You don't get those fancy filter choices with like the different algorithms that you get inside of some of the newer Ableton devices. But you get some decent usable filters here. And one thing I have to say, this device has not changed since I started teaching Ableton. I started teaching Ableton in 2011, and this was already there. I think it might have been there even much earlier than that. So I was teaching this device exactly the way you see it right now in 2011. So interesting that they haven't updated it or anything. I guess it's because road less traveled, right? Okay. And then decay for shortening sound. And of course panning, and if you want to put it left or right, that's up to you. And volume control. So you get a lot of amplitude there that you can push. What is warp doing when you pitch up or down? Audio does it prevent it from stretching the audio? So pitching up and down could make it stretch it more or make it shorter, which is kind of really cool. Okay, and then we have, velocity controls for panning and volume. That could be, get that going. All right, so let's get this in the usable position. Let's use that, and then let's bring snare. Same thing goes here. So it's really quick at getting, some interesting sound out of it. And you can imagine doing that with all these sounds. You can imagine, getting lots going on with all these sounds. But you're going to say to me, well, you can't break it up into stems. And now you also can't add individual effects to each part. So it becomes, it's kind of in a pocket. Now, one thing, though, that people don't realize that you could do with this thing is use these two knobs here, the time and the transpose. And these are global time and transpose. The ways that we had it here, we had the transpose and we had the time, which is the stretching. The same two knobs occur here for the use globally on this thing. And this is kind of the thing that makes this kind of a cute little device for making really interesting beats. Because as soon as I start playing with that, watch what happens. Here we go. I mean, this immediately could make some nasty, nasty sounds. I mean, you can get to places you would never have thought you've gotten to immediately with this thing. And that's awesome. So maybe what I'll do is, beyond that, I'll admit that after that, if you don't like what that's doing, then maybe, you should just give up on it. But you could imagine, now I put conventional drum sounds in here. You could put whatever sort of sound you want in here. You could put a bunch of vocal snippets or all sorts of weird samples in there and do the same thing with this device. How? Somebody says. Okay. So let's kind of resample that, or we call rinsing. Let's get the impulse to come from there, and let's arm that for recording, and just kind of record everything that's happening in here. Okay, so if we did everything right, we should have collected a bunch of that stuff in here. So let's see what we got. So Alessandro Bratz is asking, is the time function stretching the audio out? And when it does, is the audio pitch shifted? So there's a transpose and a time knob. So you can do shifting of either or. And the combinations of shifting either or make it really, really cool. So let's see what we have here. So this is and I could just maybe grab pieces of this and use it as like a jumping off point. So, I can go in there and start grabbing loops, I guess, and use them as, specialized loops that I've made for myself. Let's try. Let's get to an interesting spot. Let's just grab one interesting loop. If you want to do that, you can do it with your arrow key as well. You can move around until you find a cool spot. I want a really short one. I don't want that. I want just short. I'm into the short stuff. So maybe I'll just take a half a bar. I can't get the really short stuff from. How about that one? How about that one? Oh, that's pretty cool. So now we see the saving grace of this maybe often overlooked, and I don't know, let me know in the chat, do you use the impulse? Have you used the impulse in the past? Have you even known what it does in the past? Have you given up on it pretty quickly? It is something that really just has that one saving grace for me, which is the fact that you can do that stretching with that whole beat in there, because you can't really do anything but like if you right click here, you could group to a drum rack, all right? And you think, oh, wow, I could turn this into a drum rack, right? So you click on it, and then what do you get? You get the whole thing into a drum rack, which is like, well, how does that help me? Because I just get that one sound going in there, and, it's like that whole thing. And it'd be great if it, like, broke it all up into different cells. And kind of gave you the same thing that you had in the impulse inside of the drum rack. But no, it's not that. So it's kind of disappointing. So let's see. Alessandro Bra says you can get really cool sounds out of this. I have seen some people play with the delay and record the audio to use the snippets. Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to do. Alessandro Bra says he used it once. Michael Black says, I used in Ableton 2, then gave up. That's funny, because Ableton 2 came out like, I would say 2001, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael Black, when it actually came out. Ableton 2 was like very, very, very long ago. And yeah, this is a very ancient Ableton device that has that really cool stretching feature with the global time and transposing, which is really kind of maybe you have to think of it beyond just drums, where you think of it like maybe as in when it comes to samples and all sorts of weirdness that you can create with it. And let's see, what else is anybody saying? Ableton used to only be about stretching audio and didn't care about MIDI. That's true. Can you put the impulse into a drum rack? Yeah, well, I just tried to do that, and didn't really work out. Okay, so Simple Sam says he never used it. Well, you should give it a chance, maybe, at least for this type of sound design or fun loop creation. So let's, okay, we're a little bit past halfway point. I just have to tell you what you're watching. You're watching 343 TV. My name is Abe Duque, and I'm instructor here at 343 Labs, where I, teach classes in New York at the school in New York. But we have two schools. We have one in New York and one in Berlin. We also have plenty of classes online. Come and take a class with us. I have classes starting this weekend at the school. On Sunday, I have two classes. I have a mixing and mastering class starting and an Ableton class starting. I'm very happy about going back and kind of full force into the classroom. It's internet is great and all, but and very convenient because I don't have to commute. But man, it's such a nice thing to be able to see people and work with people in person. So come take a class with us in person if you're in the New York or Berlin area, or not, just come on the internet, because I do plenty of classes on the internet as well still. I think I'm teaching classes every day as it goes. So also the giveaway. We have a giveaway this week. It is a 3-month subscription to Splice Sounds, which is, all the amazing. They have an amazing library of curated sounds that you can go through, and you can pretty much use anything you want. What you get is you get a point system. They give you, I think, 100 points a month for you to download. It doesn't sound like much, but when you can preview through all their sounds and then finally choose the sound you like and then download it, and that's just 1 point, that's great because you don't have to hoard a gazillion sounds on your hard drive and go through them. You can just go through them online on that cloud service and then just use your points to redeem for the sound that you actually want to have, and keep your hard drive, therefore clean. Anyway, so we're back. Let's get to another device. So I have a list here, and I really want to touch on some of these devices because, maybe it won't invigorate you guys to or encourage you guys to want to use them, but why not? Let's play with them. So there's a device that I have on this list, second on the list. It's the Beat Repeat, and let's have a look at that one. It's interesting and weird and maybe hard to figure out because I remember when I first came across the Beat Repeat, it was really hard to kind of just see what the heck was going on with this thing, what it was meaning to do. So let's drop it right on to that. Where is that? Actually, I want to go back. I don't want to enter the drum rack anymore. I want my impulse back. So let's get back into that impulse clip. And let's move this and let's get more of a beat going. That's pretty cool. It's so awesome. See, I put a little effect on it. So clangy, just instant clang, right? Anyway, so let's get the Beat Repeat right on this thing so that we can see what's going on with it. So what is this thing? So it kind of grabs audio and it repeats it. Now, there's several ways that it can do this. So the parameters to kind of look at are, is it going to do it by chance? And if it does it by chance, it's going to kind of do it by itself. So there's a 100% chance that every bar, it's going to grab a 16th note clip or piece of the sound and repeat it for, I think, 7/16. I think that's the way you kind of go ahead and interpret this. So let's see. If I just put the sound in here, you can hear something going on in it. Now, the thing is, it's not immediately clear what's going on because there's these modes here. There's a mode that's a mix mode, then there's a insert mode, and there's a gate mode. In mix mode, it blends it with the audio that's going through. So it grabs up, it repeats something, but it blends it with the audio that's in there. In insert mode, it does this. I'll play it. All right, hold on. So when it's playing, it does the repeat. And in gate mode, it doesn't show you anything but the repeat. So it's good to know. This doesn't have a dry wet or anything. This is kind of the dry wet for this thing. So it's it's mixed together with the original sound, or it's the repeat when you want it to be a repeat, and then the gate mode is it's only the repeats. It doesn't play you the original sound as it passes through. All right, okay, that's cool. I like to use it in insert mode, but I also like to use it in a way where I don't have the chance to 100%. I want to dictate when it's going to work. So I have a controller in front of me, if you could see. I'm going to use this controller to kind of set it up to control this thing. So I'm going to want to make it repeat. So I want to make sure that this repeat goes. And the way I could do it, I could map that to a button, and I will. I'll just quickly map it to a button. So let's map that button here so that this is going to turn on my repeat. So as it's playing, I could grab it, let it be indefinitely there, and let it go. That's cool. but there's some other parameters that are cool. Let's deal with let's see what the grid size will do for us. So it's there. The grid size will change the size of what it grabs. And the gate, well, this doesn't mean anything anymore because this meant something when they had a chance to kind of auto work for you. Okay, so let's map the grid to a knob. So let's take this knob here and take that over, mapping it to the grid so that we can play this, trigger it, right? Trigger it and change the grid size. Okay, so far, yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's not the coolest thing to do with this thing. The coolest thing to do with this thing is to be able to play with these knobs over here, which are the pitch and the pitch decay knob. So let's let this go. Let's let it catch. Change the grid size, and then play with the pitch decay. Oh, now we're talking. What does the pitch do? Not much. Let's just focus on the pitch decay more than anything else. So now, when I get this going, and then I catch something in it, I can maybe map a knob to the pitch decay. Turn that, and now I can have some fun with it when it goes. So I catch it, and then turn that knob, and then back, which makes it a pretty cool thing to do in a live scenario. And matter of fact, I used to use this beat repeat quite a lot in my live sets because I would do it like this. I would map the because this is kind of a little bit of technology here. Instead of mapping the repeat to a button, I would map it to the crossfader, so that when the crossfader went, it would enable the repeat. So this is going. So it seemed like I was doing some sort of like quick. And if I opened the pitch decay before I did that, I could do stuff like that. Yeah, and then bring back the pitch decay, which makes it so that you could have insane amount of fun with this stuff. And I would put this on my master channel. And from time to time, I could just hit this, and I'd have a knob ready with and basically all I really wanted to turn was those two knobs, the grid size, so how long the chop would be, and the pitch decay, so that I could know when to do that. So Try that at home. If you have a controller, this could be a really fun way. Not only for playing live, because I used it in a few tracks as well for some parts where like I wanted to like make a stop and then make a cool like effect, some ear candy that would happen with a certain part. You just catch it in the right amount and put the pitch decay on, turn it on, and off you go. Alexander Bruss says, this is putting a smile on my face. This is so cool. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So this is the beat repeat. Again, one of these road less travel effects in Ableton that a lot of people don't know what to do with it, because you look at it and you try to use it and you're like, well, it's interesting, but it's not necessarily, something that I could imagine using. But now that you see how you can kind of have fun with it on the fly, it really like if I was setting up an Ableton set, and pretty soon I'll probably set up a new Ableton set so I play live instead of I was thinking of playing live for you guys instead of with with gear to do like just an Ableton controller live set. And if I do that, or when I do that, I'm going to definitely include that beat repeat in the master channel for fun. Okay, so let's see if we have time for one more device. Look, I'll show you a device that's a road less traveled device. So let's see, but this one I'm not even going to demo it because I would say I hate it. I'll be honest with you. I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you about anything. I'm not here to shill Ableton to the max. This looper, also a very, very old device, was already around in 2010, I think, maybe even earlier. And it's meant to kind of do what those kind of, beatboxers use. There's these cool boss pedals that beatbox people and people that just like, first they do the one beat and then they add another sound to it and then they add and continue to build on that. This is meant to kind of do that. But I have to be honest, it's terrible. And I don't want to really spend too much time on it. If you guys want to kind of debate me about it, write something in the chat. Anybody out there love the looper? Please let me know if there's something I'm missing about this looper, because I could show you how to use it. But the problem is that anybody that I've seriously seen try to use this thing has had it fail on them while they're playing live, which is very, very, terrible. So let's get rid of that. I don't even want to talk about it. The looper, I have not even seen ever. Okay. Simple Sam has never even seen the looper. Forget that you saw it, Simple Sam. Just forget it. Erase your memory. Okay. All right. Let's look at another device. And we have a few others in here, and maybe we'll go on to and we'll do a part 2 next week, because I do have some very nice ones. But let's go into something that is used a lot. Hey, John H. Kingston III is here. Very good to see him. There's a device that is used a lot called some people use it. It's a synth from Ableton. And I think people use this less. Well, there's two devices that are related to each other with this. And I think I need to show you this one first. This is the Collision. So the Collision, sometimes I see people just grabbing it and using it and making some cool sounds with it. But it's not as well understood as all the other ones. I think in Ableton, everybody loves using the wavetable synthesizer, and operator being number 2, and then maybe analog people will use. The Collision is something that, either you don't understand what's going on in the way that what type of synthesis it is, and so you might find people not using it so much. But this thing is basically, it's physical modeling. It's a physical modeling synth, and what it's doing, it's basically modeling what happens when you hit something with something else. So we Ableton calls the hitting element, or the hammer, or the mallet. They have a mallet here. You can see a mallet. They call that the excitator. It's so German to call it the excitator. And I don't even know if we would ever use that in the English scenario, but they call it an excitator, which is what hits the resonating body. So there's a body that resonates, and here's 2 resonating bodies, 2 resonators, and you could choose from these set of materials. So you have a beam, a marimba, a string, a membrane, and so a string would be like a violin string or something like that, or a guitar string. A membrane would be like a skin on a drum. A plate would be like a metal plate. A pipe and a tube are similar to each other, except that one has an opening and the other one doesn't. So let's grab a pipe for now. And here we have the one. This one has the opening, and I could make sounds with this. It's kind of quiet right now. Let's raise the volume on my excitator. So we have the excitator part of it, which is cool. We can dictate stiffness on it. And that's the thing with physical modeling synthesizers. You get these parameters that are they're not necessarily accurate to what they're doing. They just, suggest something like, here's the amount of stiffness. Okay, 58% stiff. Yeah, okay, I get it. I am sometimes 71% stiff, as I am stiff like this, or less stiffness. You could add some noise to it, and that's directly on the mallet itself. Color, whenever you see the word color in one of these scenarios, it usually refers to some sort of filtering or some sort of EQing. So brighter and less bright. That's basically what it's boiling down to. Now, remember that you're not actually hearing this mallet. What you're hearing is the mallet striking the resonator, which is a pipe, and then the pipe kind of doing its thing. And we could change the radius on the pipe, shorten the radius, and we could switch that out. Let's do the tube for a second. Similar, but not exactly the same. There's no opening. The opening goes away on the tube, which you had an opening on the pipe. Okay, and then together with that mallet, we could apply some noise as part of the excitator. And that noise could be of a certain... Okay, so we could have a filter filtering that noise. So this is a bandpass filter, and we can pick where that's going. So you can hear it slightly just changes the way that it helps to resonate that body. So we're moving the position of the filter. And there's also an ADSR on the way that the noise will present. So you could have the noise kind of present slowly. So you could have some, like, raising the attack or slowing down the attack. See what you can get going with that. Oh, that's pretty nice. And, okay, so I don't want to dwell too much on this thing because it's fun and it's cool, and I do recommend that you play with it. There's, all these other... I kind of like the pipe in the tube the most. Things like, marimba and beam, I start liking less. The membrane is cool. The plate is cool because it's like this kind of metal plate situation. You can play with inharmonics and change the ratio, basically going from a square to a rectangle. That's what you get going on in here. And the position of the hit, more towards the center or more towards the edge, for example. And that's all cool. You have two of them. You could kind of layer them somehow, or you can make them kind of go one into each other. That's all very nice and cool. And I'm rushing through this because I really want to get to this other thing, which is coming from that, which is the corpus. So I'm going to get our beat here, which we had going on, and I'm going to run that into the corpus. Our beat repeat is still there, but it's kind of just sitting there doing not much. And now if you look at, and I didn't want to record that. I don't know, I added some recording there, but it doesn't matter. If you look at the corpus, what you see, it looks very familiar now from what we were just doing, right? So it's just a resonating body. It's not the whole thing. It's not an instrument. It's just the resonator. So that resonator could be the kind of, let's say, effect. That's what it is. It's an effect. So it has a dry wet, and we can play with the dry wet, and we could pick a particular membrane or plate, or my favorite pipes and tubes. But here's like the hidden gem in this. If you tune it down, you could do some pretty cool damage with it. Let's try the tube. Put the beat repeat over here, and let's get that going again. That was pretty cool. I don't know how I got it to do that, but that was really cool. Let's get it back. So, corpus, yes, makes bass lines from drums. Thank you for putting that in a way that I wanted it to be put. Yes, this makes bass drums from bass lines from drums. That's what we get from this. So quite cool, quite amazing. I love it. But I think that's the kind of special hidden feature that you can get out of it. And I'm trying to redeem some of these devices for you guys that you might not, you know, often grab automatically, and make it so that you might think, hey, let's just try this. Maybe, I could do something different with it. So there's a redeeming grace to some of these devices. So I'm going to do a part 2 next week. We're going to grab some other ones, some actually even more useful than the ones that we use today for, having a broader use than some of the things that we did today. So most of these things are cool, but aren't great other than in that one kind of very interesting thing that they do. The impulse with its time and its transpose knob, the corpus with the fact that you could pitch down on drums and create bass lines with drums. And the beat repeat, well, the beat repeat just has to be played with live. I think you have to, in order to get the best out of that beat repeat, you have to kind of set it up on controllers and kind of do the fun thing with controllers. If you don't, and this goes for all Ableton, if you're using Ableton or even Bitwig and you're not having controllers in front of you while you're playing with this stuff, you're missing out on all the cool things that you could be doing with this. Yeah, John wants me to route MIDI notes into corpus. Yes, you can route MIDI notes into corpus, but I think that's the side chaining feature that it has, right? You could do MIDI side chaining with corpus. That's another kind of hidden kind of cool thing that you could do with it. Just didn't have enough time to go over that as well. I had it on my list of things to show off about the corpus, but we've kind of run out of time. So with that, I want to thank everybody for being here again. Susan Owen is here. I've not seen Susan here before. Great to have you here. John Selway, great to have you here. I have not seen you earlier today. It is the first little entry in the chat that I've seen. By the way, don't forget on John Selway has a show tomorrow. His techno, I don't know if it's techno or electro Saturdays. He alternates between techno and electro Saturdays. If you're in the chat, you can maybe write down what it is. Is it techno or is it electro tomorrow? We will know. But tomorrow on his show, John will announce the winner of the giveaway for this week. The giveaway for this week is a 3-month subscription to Splice Sounds. That's going to be 3 months. That's a long time. That's 90 days of special sounds, and they have really one of the biggest and best collections of curated samples and loops for you guys to use in your productions. So I think there's a link in the chat for you to kind of sign up for that giveaway, and John will announce it tomorrow in his show. And one more thing, if you like what you see, please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get it up to 23K subscribers. We're almost there. We're at 22.9. And also, if you guys would please give me a like for my job today, just to hit the like button, please. And I guess that's all I have for you today. And I'll see you next week on Friday. All right. Take care.